right, let's just touch on this. You know, before I turn the recorder on, you touched on it. But how is the weight cut going? Right now, you know, we're less than 24 hours when you have to hit the scales. So are you kind of like in that miserable phase of cutting, or is everything going smooth for you?
No, it's been pretty smooth. You know, I'm not cutting too hard. I mean, when you look at the big picture, I guess I'm cutting pretty hard, but I've got it down to a science. So at this point, I'm within striking distance, and that's good enough.
Okay, perfect. And this is your what? Your fourth fight at bantamweight, is that right?
Yeah, this will be my fourth time.
Okay, so you're pretty much used to cutting down to this 135 now, right? Safe to assume.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I never really cut too hard. I was cutting like 5 to 8 pounds before, and now I'm, you know, attack on 10 plus to that now. So, you know, a little under 20 pounds when I'm at my heaviest, but really about 15 pounds from when I'm in tip-top shape.
Okay, right on. You done a lot of media leading into this fight, so I'll try to keep some stuff not so repetitive. But the one thing repetitive, just for our readers and stuff on bjpenn.com, is if you could just explain how your training camp went for this fight, and you know, assuming it went good, and you're going to say it went good, but you know, do you feel like you got the proper sparring partners in and all the support you needed to come out and beat Brian Bowles this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the biggest thing for me was having all the guys on my team that were in there pushing also. You know, I have TJ Dillashaw, who just made it to the finals of the Ultimate Fighter. He's a 35-pounder, and got Lance Palmer and Joseph Benavidez and Chad Mendes just signed a fight to fight Jose Aldo, and you know, Danny Castillo's on the card, and we had all sorts of guys that have come in from different places to spar and stuff like that. So we always have tough camp in there, and I got the most out of it for sure.
Okay. Now, your gym, and it's no surprise, but you mentioned your training partners, all the guys you have Castillo over there. You know, he's fighting on the same card as you. You got Mendes, who's the #1 contender at featherweight. TJ Dillashaw, who just made it to the finals on Ultimate Fighter. Your camp has been like synonymous and probably the best worldwide camp for the guys. You know, really 145 and below. You have a few lightweights in there, but why do you think that is? How come all these guys are drawn to you? I mean, you got new faces in there mixed with old faces, and what is it about Ultimate Fitness there in Sacramento that brings that caliber of guy in there?
I think it's that we create a good system. We've got great coaches, and we all help each other out. You know, help fill in each other's weaknesses and sharpen up our strengths and all that kind of stuff. And you know, iron sharpens iron, and you know, everyone's leading by example, and so everyone's getting better. And we have a bunch of big guys that are developing also that are starting to come up, and you'll see more of them. And but you know, the core of our guys are just guys that started training out together. You know, and and I guess basically it's just a matter of time when you put your mind to something. Okay. Now, I remember a few years ago, I was up there in Sacramento. I spent a few days in your gym, and I remember specifically Brian Bowles was in there with you guys, you know, training all day, like a part of the team. And I'm wondering, was that a one-time thing, or was that kind of a relationship that you guys have maintained over the years, where he would come in and train? And if so, you know, how does it impact this fight going forward? I think it was once or twice that Bowles had come in to train with us, and we've all remained friends. I mean, it was just a short period of time when we trained together, but we've been friendly this whole time. You know, we're friends with his teammate and coach, also Jeff Bedard, and you know, we're like business associates. You know, it's not like he's our best friend, but he's definitely a guy that we like, and you know, this is business. We got to take care of business, and friendship aside, you know, we both want the same thing.
Okay, so you trained with him a few times. Did you pick anything up during those times you spent with Brian that you think you can use to your benefit in this fight? I mean, my reason why I asked that is because he's only really had one blemish on his whole record. It was something you can lend to maybe a broken hand. He had some issues in that fight that he couldn't perform 100%. But for the most part, he's shown, he only has the one loss, so he showed a pretty decent game. And having you been able to train with him, does that help you out?
I think it was good to train with him, but it was so long ago, and
right.
It was just a different time. I was 145 pounds, and he was newer to the sport, so I don't really take too much from that, other than the fact that I know that he's tough. I can only assume that he's gotten better, and he was already tough, so I'm just going to honor the weapons that he has and go in there and take him out.
Okay. And how do you see this? How do you see this fight playing out? When you go through like your visualization and the mental aspect of your game, I mean, what would you visualize, and how do you see this thing going down?
I see it being a lot of stand-up, and I think it'll probably be kind of an all-over-the-place fight, but I think there's going to be some heavy punches thrown on both sides, and I plan on landing the heavier ones and making him miss and dominating the fight. I want to finish the fight, whether it be by, any type of stoppage, TKO, KO, submission, whatever it may be.
Okay. And as far as his striking power, I mean, he's known to be a power puncher. I mean, he has knockout power. But when you compare the guys that you face, like the Jose Aldos and the Mike Browns of the world, that probably have maybe more power than Bowles, does that give you an extra edge of confidence, knowing that you stood in there and you hung with those guys, and this guy he probably doesn't hit as hard? I mean, does that do anything for your mental confidence?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about his power too much. I mean, it'll be there, but I spar with guys that are powerful. I mean, Joseph Benavidez is a knockout puncher, and Justin Buckles is a knockout puncher, and T.J. Dillashaw, and I spar those guys all the time, and we hit each other as hard as we can and try to knock each other out. We're in 16 ounce gloves, but I love sparring, and I love mixing it up, and it's about getting hurt.
Okay, right on, perfect. This fight, I guess the rumor is, or the wide range of thought, what people are saying out there is the winner of this fight is possibly next to get the title shot. I know you've talked about this to the media tirelessly, but does it give you more motivation to go out here and perform well to ensure that you get the next crack at Dominick Cruz and get that rematch?
Yeah, definitely. That's the goal here, is to be the best guy in the world, and this is the only route to doing it, is beating the top guys. And I can't wait to get in there and mix it up and throw down and get the W. It's going to be an intense fight, but the prize at the end is well worth it.
Okay. And your last fight was against Cruz, and it was a fight that a lot of people thought won. When I watched the fight live, I actually thought you won, because I'm sitting there judging it based off of, I guess, damage is the best term, and the way you were able to drop him a few times. I assume that you dropping him was more important than the volume of punches or the volume of strikes that maybe he was throwing. And I'm wondering, since you lost the decision, does that change your thought process going forward about how you're going to approach fights from now on?
Well, I like to try not let it affect me too much. I hate to go in there and fight to score points,
right?
Solely, but I think just being aware of that, the fact that, I really try to go through and see how they would have awarded him the fight, and I guess partially because he was attempting more takedowns, but that doesn't make much sense. I mean, he never once had done anything with any type of takedown to threaten to finish the fight, or even really controlled me at any point with any of the takedowns. So it's kind of confusing as to why he was winning the round. So, I mean, I guess I could play a little bit more to the judges, but I'd rather just go in there and knock him out or submit him. So I think that's what I'll do next time. And, you know, try harder.
Perfect. All right, Urijah. Just a few more questions for you. It's getting kind of late, and I know you're probably ready to get your weight cut done. But are you permanently fixed at bantamweight now, or do you ever have any thoughts of going up to featherweight? Just curious there.
I've got a lot of time in this sport, so we'll just see. I think, you know, it's not too difficult for me to make the weight, but it's definitely a lot funner leading up to a fight when you get to eat as much as you want. So we'll see what happens. I'd like to get the belt and then maybe have some super fights, but you know, it's just time will tell. There's a lot of time left in this sport, and you know, I'm not going anywhere.
As far as super fights go, who kind of interests you in that realm of things?
I don't know. I just fights where I'll get paid, where people want to see the fight. You know, where maybe at some point a champion versus champion when I get the belt, and I mean, who knows, depending on who's there and stuff like that. But I'm just interested in doing the fights that make sense for the fans and is a challenge. You know, I think BJ is a guy that's done that through the years and just had confidence in himself and always wanted to challenge himself for big fights, and I'd like to be the same way. It's hard. There's not as many big names in my weight class right now.
Right. Okay. And the big names happen to be your teammates, so that also poses a little bit of an issue there, huh? All right. My last question, and then I'll let you go, is I want to touch on TJ a little bit. We saw last night he made the finals for the Ultimate Fighter, and I want to know where did this guy come from? How long have you been working with him, and what do you expect from him going forward? I mean, I think he's probably the favorite to win the whole thing. Of course, we won't know until December 3rd, but I just want to know what your thoughts are on this guy, and if you're like proud of him for accomplishing what he's done so far. Yeah,
TJ is the most competitive guy on our team. He's in the gym every day, just grinding away and getting better. And he started his career with us. You know, he actually was sent down to us with Mark Munoz, and I recruited him when I was a college coach at UC Davis, and he was a senior in high school, and he ended up going to a different school. But you know, I've always kind of had an eye for him, and he just quickly climbed the ladder as far as technique goes, and he's up to par with Joseph and I, and we're ranked number 2 in the world. So I expect him to be a world champion at some point and to win the whole thing.
Okay. How does that work internally with your team? And I said that was my last question, but just one more follow-up. How does that work internally with your team? Let's say, you know, you and Joseph are rated number 2 and 3 in the world, which you could easily go to, you know, anywhere between 1 and 3, depending upon who holds the title and whatnot, what you guys do in the near future. And if you throw TJ in that mix, some camps have the motto where, you know, they'll fight each other if it's for a title. And I know we've talked in the past where I don't think you guys will fight each other, but just to kind of clarify, I mean, where does that whole stand with you guys? Like, let's say TJ becomes number 3, you're number 1, Joseph's number 2. Is there any give there, like to say, hey, you know, let's fight each other and let's get paid, or you know, what do you guys do in that situation?
I mean, we'd have to cross that bridge when we get there, but I mean, there's rumors of them opening a 25-pound weight class, and you know, I'm not totally against jumping back up to 45s at some point. You know, I think there's some mobility around there that we can adjust. But if it really becomes an issue where Dana and Lorenzo are holding us to make a decision, then we'll have to make the decision then. But I don't ever plan on fighting those guys, and I'm not sure how they feel about fighting each other or me. But you know, it's not real likely, but it is very likely that we would be the top 3 in the world. So I guess we just have bragging rights over the world. Maybe we'll start a pay-per-view of all of our sparring.
Awesome. All right, Uriah. Is there anything I missed, man, before I let you go, or we're pretty covered, huh?
Yeah, that's good, man. Thank you.